Ever wonder what tech leaders would say if they had no prep and no redos?
Welcome to Humans of Tech. I'm Caroline.
And I'm Kelly. We're keeping humans at the center of technology through quick, authentic conversations with people shaping the industry.
Got three rules: no prep, no editing, and one live random question our guest never sees coming. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Look at me drinking this. This is not an advertisement for this whatever thing I'm drinking. Elderberry and zinc. I'm overdosing on them because I have a cold that I'm trying to
Ooh.
take
I
off.
have those in gummy form, and they always get me. You know, when you're checking out at the airport and there's like 10 things that are always near like the checkout, it's like, you need this to boost your immunity. You're like, I do need that because I'm about to hop on the plane with a bunch of strangers. So, like, sold.
My body gave out on me this weekend. My
Mm.
body was like, "You're done. You've been traveling too much. You're going to be sleeping for the next 48 hours." So
Well, you need it.
we're
Sleep's
surviving.
important.
Surviving.
Yeah.
So we have Blake jumping on with us today.
Yes. So Blake and I go a little far back. He was one of the first connections that I had in Charlotte to tech. And so, he is quite the interesting guy. He never went to college. So he went right into the army and he ended up doing like cyber operations for a while for the army, which is really awesome. And
I find
then,
that pretty badass. I don't know what it is about that kind of a role that like feels we need a movie. I
yeah,
want combat. I don't want to see combat people. I want people who are doing cybersecurity in armies.
what does that look like? I have no idea,
Oh,
but
no, well, they're behind a computer for sure,
yeah.
but it just sounds so
I feel like
mysterious.
it's a little dark, and then there's
Yeah,
just like I don't know. I can visualize it, but we'll have to ask him.
actually,
Um,
can we skip our regular programmed session? Ask them what it's like to be to do cyber in the army.
yeah, I mean we absolutely can. And what's interesting too is now he's at a company for manufacturing. What they do is pretty much take like pull resources from the ground, they refine, and then they sell off the supply to make lithium. Lithium is probably I think their biggest
Lithium
seller.
batteries. That's the one when, when you're checking in your bag, they say, please do not have lithium batteries in your
Yep.
suitcase.
That's
Yes,
the
that's
one
it.
that's needed for, I believe, like electrical vehicles and things like
Yes.
that. So he'll be able to tell us more in a
I think
second.
he's hopping on right now.
Hey, Blake,
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi.
we were
Nice
just,
to meet you.
I was just telling Caroline, your background as far as Army, right? Cyber operations, and then
Mhm.
and I said you never went to college, but then went right into the Army, right? And then into Albemarle, where you've been for going on almost 7 years.
Yeah, I've got some other experience in
Oh.
there. So jumping all the way back, I started with an IT consultant, probably 12 or 13 years ago, then moved into a defense contractor, British Aerospace.
Hmm.
That was around 10 years ago. And then I moved to a global nonprofit. So think about that. I went from a consultant to
Hmm.
defense contractor to global nonprofit, and then took a sidestep over to Albemarle as an analyst. And then, yeah, for the past 7 years, give or take, I've been working my way up the corporate chain here.
Ugh.
You have the viewpoint of technology from so many different angles.
Yeah, from extreme scarcity at a nonprofit all the way to very well resourced. Don't tell my board that, but a very well resourced comparatively organization, that's for sure.
Oh, wow.
Do you have a preference?
I think somewhere in the middle towards well resourced probably is where I'd prefer, but there's something to be said about working for scarcely resourced environments and how much that teaches you. I think, it teaches you that the most expensive product may not be the best always. Maybe it's the most properly implemented or the one that's the most understood by the technical staff that's working it. So you kind of get a feel for what's needed and what's not.
I have a question actually. Do you find that the different types of organizations draw in different kinds of people to work for them? Like, did you have to change the way you work with your peers depending on where you are?
Yeah. So just full transparency, and you can look it up on my LinkedIn profile,
Oh,
but
I'm on your LinkedIn profile. Listen.
it looks very similar to how I look today, I'm sure. No surprise at all. I need to update that, but
You don't have a beard anymore. Come on.
no, no, past director at Albemarle, you're supposed to shave your face, so I had to start doing it. Uh, Back to the question though, TWR was the nonprofit, and they're a global Christian nonprofit.
Okay.
So everyone's values and morals are just about the same there. And when you go to a secular organization, as to be expected, people have vastly different moral compasses
Yeah.
and respond to situations in different ways. So that is something to get used to for sure.
Oh,
That's
good
pretty
question,
cool.
Caroline. We haven't even asked the random one.
I'm ready for it. I'm glad we jumped in.
Well,
Well,
we're
Caroline
ahead of
was
the topic.
like, Albemarle is the one that makes you, or like, um, lithium ion batteries. When you hear about that, it's like, take it out of your suitcase to get on the plane, right?
And
Mhm.
I never really quite understood what they were talking about. I always just said no. And I have this one suitcase that it was gifted to me. And there's a phone battery thing stuck on the outside that I never use. I wouldn't even pretend, I don't even realize it's there. And
Yeah,
last week I'm getting on a flight and they're like, you have a battery. I was like, no, I don't. They're like, yes, you do. Take this out now.
it was probably in a way, if I'm guessing right, but there's a couple of them that have.
Yes, I think it is in a way. You're right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I,
it's supposed to be useful. I haven't really, I'm not, I call myself a late adopter, even though I'm in technology. I'm not an early adopter of things. I'm a late adopter. It sits there uncharged and my phone's usually running out of battery. So it's great.
yeah. Usually takes one European trip where there's no chargers in sight and your battery on your phone is dying and you start to get desperate. And then having one of those things is great.
Yep.
Add that to
Yep.
my list. Caroline, do you want to pull the random question?
Ooh, yes. Hold on. I was not prepared for this. Let me find my bowl. Hold on, here it is. I didn't know I was gonna get to do it. All right. So we're gonna pull a random question. Um, and you just answer it, authentically.
Oh, that was a long string of paper.
I know. We're
It
not gonna
was a long one.
huh. What's one thing you never thought you'd be doing in your career, but now love?
Um, I think there's a psychology aspect to IT that when I first got into technology, I didn't think that psychology and more the human experience, not to draw from the name that you guys have, but I didn't recognize early on in my career just how much that would impact. And if you adopt it and make sure that you read up on it, study, uh, the psychology piece can actually be one of the most important ones when you're dealing with technology, because if you think about it, IT is one of the few fields that calls their customers, well, IT and drug dealers both call their customers users.
I never thought about that. I'm fixing that.
Yeah, so you kind of have to understand that there's a need there. And if there is no need and you can't communicate what the need is for the technology, then the adoption will be very little at an organization. And you can deploy the most not complex, but the most proficient system possible, and no one's ever seen an IT landscape like what you have. But if you haven't communicated the value to the end user, then there's zero adoption. And if there's zero adoption, then we have no jobs. So uh, communication, maybe even a little bit of sales, that psychology behind the IT aspects is really what I found to be most important.
Hmm.
I think that's almost a new in the last decade need in IT. Because before, I mean, yes, there were users, but organizations didn't consider themselves IT companies like they do now, right? I think Nike considers themselves an IT organization. Everybody, thinks, not thinks, but everyone has kind of rebranded themselves as like as a software company. So all of a
Mhm.
sudden, IT has gotten a seat at the table that they didn't really have maybe a decade ago. It was seen as the cost center.
Hmm.
At least from my perspective. You're more than welcome to not agree with me on that one. And so like some of those skills are the skills that were traditionally taught to just the business track folks, the marketing, the traditional leaders, the sales directors, the CEOs, but you now need CIOs and IT managers and CISOs to be able to speak that language because they are also now part of the board meetings, right? When maybe traditionally they weren't.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that have switched from manufacturing and all sorts of industries into data companies.
Yeah.
So you look at the Facebooks or Metas of the world, the Googles of the world. Yeah, their marketing strategy is to give away free products, and in turn they receive all the data, and then in turn that makes them into some of the world's most valuable organizations today.
Yeah.
And that has become apparent in the past 10 years. Just you can look at the stock market today and see who has the highest market cap, and those are the technology companies. And that's, like I said, it's become apparent, but I think we're going to see a shift sometime in the near future, as AI comes out, similar to how when social media first came out, which are the first companies that used data in the way that they used them, and that proliferated into other kinds of companies.
Mm.
People took, I would say, around 5 to 10 years to perfect using social media. At first, you get the like photo shots where the camera's like down here and you're looking up someone's nose, and they put a couple of like rainbow colored filters on the back. Nowadays, you see, there's kids out there that make social media posts that enterprise marketing teams would be jealous of.
Yeah.
And so they've really come to adopt that, and those kinds of companies. So looking into the future, I think maybe even AI is going to be similar, where it takes us 5 to 10 years to really figure out as a culture how to adopt that technology.
Mm.
And we're going to go from using AI similar to the social media stuff where you're taking strange angled photos.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we're going to use AI in awkward ways at first, and then eventually it'll turn into something that people appreciate a bit more. And that's just the natural cycle of it. Yeah, us IT folks are really just going to be the HR for AI in the future, I think.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, and data is currency too. Like I feel like anyone who has more data is more valuable because then you in the sales and marketing world, like you have the emails. That is current. That's more than like a sale. If you have like it's so interesting as like that kind of shift happens. But it's so interesting like around like your comment around the HR, you're becoming an HR team, but it's like it's so interesting.
Yeah, we're gonna have to rein it back at some point, I think. But for right now, some of the data governance and ways in which they rolled out AI have been sufficient enough, I think. People are healthfully scared of it. I think, Elon and other figureheads going on TV and telling us, warning us about the dangers of it, have
Mhm.
led to some successful rollouts so far. No
Mhm.
Skynet yet, but yeah, it's all
Yeah.
seems to be trending positively.
Mm.
Well, before we sign off, I will then recommend this book that I'm reading. Have you read this one yet? It's the
No, but I have read Emotional Intelligence 2.0, which I think
Mm.
might be a similar book, but
probably a similar style.
yeah.
Book
A friend
club. I need that one
that
too.
one. So yes, for I did the video, but for the people listening, so it's the Harvard Business Review's 10 must reads. It's the one called On Emotional Intelligence. It's great. Actually, it's wonderful so far. So, well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah,
stop the recording now.
awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Humans of Tech.
Subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, or LinkedIn and join the conversation.
Oh, and don't forget, you can now shop our store. Check the link on the show notes.